Hey everyone, welcome back to another Friday with Dannphan. I hope you've been having a pretty fantastic week as usual. Today has already been, oh my gosh, today has been a very eventful day. So, excuse me if I seem a little bit tired already upon starting the stream. Let me get some water in me. Ugh. So, starting off today, I was actually doing a video, like a collaboration video. It was Adam's ideas, like some streamer that he knew, and we wanted to do like a fun challenge video with him. I don't know when that video is going to be uploaded, but I was doing that like this morning, and we had to do it in the morning because the time zone is a little bit wonky, right? Because he lives in Japan and we are not in Japan, so the time zone is basically exactly opposite to ours. I think it was like, I don't know, midnight for him, and for us it's like in the morning. It's brutal. But we did that, and that took up a good portion of the morning, right? But then the comics actually came today. I was not expecting them to actually come today. Honestly, for the longest time, the tracking information on the shipment just was not updating at all. So I had it's a surprise whenever they come, but they did come today. I did post a little unboxing video on Twitter. Maybe I'll also post that on YouTube. Might as well, right? Maybe a more edited version. I can post it as a short, I guess, because it's like under 2 minutes. I don't really know like what the rules for shorts are anymore. It kind of seems like they have to be in vertical format and under a certain amount of time. It used to be 1 minute, but I believe they extended it now to 2 minutes or something. I don't really know. I can't keep up with this tech changing. But yeah, very exciting to get the books. So now it's like, oh my god, I gotta start fulfillment. And oh boy, it's gonna be a busy couple of weeks just doing that. And also, so for right now, the first thing that I'm gonna finish up is just finishing tying up the soul vials and doing signatures for the books. And then we're gonna start with like the highest tiers and kind of go down from there. Mostly because the highest tiers will probably be the most expensive to ship. They are the biggest boxes, and they have the most preparation involved. So it's kind of like, oh, well, once you're done that part, the rest is all kind of easy and it'll go much faster. It's a funny thing about like the soul vials. I was kind of wondering about like what string I should be using. Like this was the original string that I showed off for the campaign, but it is kind of wiry. And my immediate thought, maybe this is like a girl thought, right? Is that, oh man, that would probably be kind of uncomfortable to wear around your neck maybe. But it does help it look maybe more rustic, more like, oh, dark fantasy. They have like rustic, wiry string around the soul vial, and it's supposed to be like a rogue item, of course. But I thought, well, maybe to make it more comfortable, I use like maybe some string that's a little bit more cotton-based, a little bit more yarn-like. I wasn't expecting it to be like as yarn-like as it actually is. But Adam was saying, no, just go with the wiry string instead of the super yarny string, because I guess this looks more like craftsy and less, I don't know, it's less dark fantasy, less immersive, you could argue. I was also wondering, like, how should I package these in the box? Because I can technically use, like, Ziploc baggies to put these in, But once again, that's probably a little bit less immersive if you're getting your soul vial in like a kitchen food storage baggie, you know? So maybe I'll order or get some special baggies for these. That's my thought process anyway. I don't know if you guys have any preference. Would you rather like the string be more comfortable or more rustic, lore based? It's a weird question, right? And I know a lot of you didn't even order the soul vials, so maybe you're the wrong people to be asking, but I have to ask somebody. Adam says go for the rustic, and I'm probably gonna trust his opinion just because he's a guy. Maybe that is the generally like the guy thing to not really care whether or not it's comfortable, but care more about how it looks. And yeah, I'll admit, yeah, sure, a yarn-looking string around a soul vial maybe doesn't fit, but it would be more comfortable. That's girl thinking. Even on shorts these days, I've seen some shorts at least 5 minutes, and at that point, are they even shorts? Good point. I don't know how long shorts are allowed to be, but yeah, 5 minutes seems like kind of wrong, kind of extending the meaning of short, you know? I guess maybe you could interpret 5-minute videos as being like fairly short, but I don't know, man. It kind of seems like it's less focused on the videos being short and maybe just more focused on the videos being vertical for phone viewing. But yeah. I don't think much about wearing things around my neck. Fair point. I say... what you would call it, like a starter, just so that you could wear it immediately. But I imagine most people might want to replace it with something else, like a chain or something, if they really wanted to wear it, you know? As opposed to it just being a cool thing, like, oh, I got this special thing that they're not making anymore because it's special for the campaign. But yeah, I default to Adam. He knows all fantasy and medieval stuff. Fair, yeah. I am the wrong one to ask, but I agree going rustic. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I have both. I have both strings, so it could go either way. But I guess if rustic fits the vibe more, I can just use the rustic string, and hopefully nobody will get it and be like, this feels bad on my skin, and it feels cheap, and I hate the creator for choosing this string over the yarn. It's like, come on, man. My options are limited. I have 2 options here. I'm not sure which one will please which person. But yeah. I could go either way. I'll likely just keep it on my bookshelf. Fair point. I think most people will probably just keep it on their bookshelf, unless they're going to like maybe a Ren fair or something, right? Unless they're going to some special event or a convention where they're wearing their soul vial and cosplaying as a Reaper. Doesn't have to be any specific character from the book series itself. It can just be your own OC Reaper, right? Anyway. Here are the books. Well, here's one of the books. This is not bad. I do think the characters look kind of tiny on the cover, which is funny because when I look at it on the screen, I think like, oh, that works, that fits for the cover. Everyone fits on there. Everything is how it should be. But this is maybe more American comic brain thinking here. Because if you look at other manga, the characters are always super big and the backgrounds are almost nothing most of the time. And the background is like dark if you have it in a dark room or whatever, but if it's in the light, you can kind of see the tunnel better. It's a little bit difficult to get it in the light without getting glare on the camera. But trust me, you can see the background better if the book is in a lighter place. Yeah, Americano, maybe. Well, thanks for the donation code, Melted. Reaper, yay! I have been so busy, can't wait. Hey, Dannphan, and hello. Yeah, so these are going to ship out really soon. I'd like to get started on it as soon as tomorrow, have like books boom at the post office. But we'll see how it goes, you know? Because there is still like some work to do, packing everything, signing everything, bagging everything, and making sure that it ships safely, because we don't want any accidents. And I think I do need more comic bags for the books. Some people don't even bother shipping their, graphic novels, their manga style books in comic bags. Maybe once again this is Americano brain, comic brain thinking here, but I think I would prefer to ship these in bags. I shipped the first book in a bag. I found a very special, like, kind of manga size bag for book 1. And I think it's good insurance just in case the box gets wet. Because, the box is not a plastic bag per se. So, are the Q&As in the book too? Yes, they are. They are in the book. You want to see a little preview? There's the Q&As. I even did little drawings at the bottom for the answers. But you have to buy the book to get the answers. You have to buy it. So I'm not going to show you it all. Oh, first video I saw of yours was the free run, and I really enjoyed it. Glad to hear. A lot of people have been finding me lately from the free run video. I'm glad that video did very well. It's funny looking back at it that the response, that free run response video did even bigger numbers than the original video that I was responding to. And I didn't think that would be the case, but very satisfying. Very satisfying nonetheless. I'd love to do more free run videos also. It's just a matter of, figuring out what kind of content comes first, because I have so many ideas and so many things that I'd like to do more reviews on and talks about, and making comics and the process of that, right? Webcam doesn't do it enough justice. So true. So true. That's why you gotta get it in person, guys. Feels like a cover you'd see on Amazon books. Oh, you're breaking my heart. But it is funny because it feels like when I was doing the cover on the screen, everything in my brain is like much bigger. But as soon as like it's on a tiny pocketbook size thing, it's like, oh my gosh, now they're so tiny compared to like all the other manga out there where the characters are big and there is no background at all. But I was trying to, I guess, do kind of a both thing. And you can kind of compare it to, like, this was the first book, right? And once again, I'm kind of like trying to mix both. I want to have some sort of cool background in there, and I also want the character to be big. But in this one, I have to balance 2 characters instead of 1. And it's one of those things. It's a balancing act. And I mentioned it before, but this is a different printer from book 1. And you can feel it in the pages for sure. These pages are much more airy. These are much closer to what you would expect from manga in terms of what it feels like flipping through and how everything looks on the pages. This one is just like really bright. I guess I would describe it as being really bright and maybe not quite the same. as what you would expect from something a little bit more manga-like, but this one is kind of leaning in a more manga-like direction. Maybe that is the correct direction, or maybe I'm just swinging the wrong way. I don't know. You're free to give me your own opinions once you have the book in your hands, and you tell me whether or not you kind of like this style, for sure. You an author, great. We need to create our own stories because most modern Western writers only write nihilistic garbage. Oh, I totally feel you on that front, for sure. Not only the author, I drew it all myself too. So, I am very tired all the time. You know how it is, man. Gotta keep up with all the modern slop coming out with your own content. Let me just put it over here for now. I still have piles of comics and manga everywhere that I need to organize, because I'm actually starting to run out of space to put stuff, which might be a bit of a problem. But we'll tackle that later. I said that I would clean up around here once I was done with the comic, but it doesn't feel like I'm done because I haven't done the fulfillment yet. I haven't actually shipped out the books. Finished drawing it, but you know, it's probably better to get a bag with it, unless the book is shipped in a package similar to how Right Stuff used to ship books, either cardboard or bubble wrap padding, papers, etc. Yeah, and I could ship it in bubble wrap too. The reason why I go for the comic boxes, the Gemini mailers instead, is just because I'm always worried that something is gonna get bent by some angry post office worker or something. So, yeah. But bubble mailers are fine. I've gotten other indie books and other indie manga comics from bubble mailers. It's usually fine. Every now and then it'll be like maybe dented somewhere, but boxes are like the safest bet to make sure the book is not damaged in the process of shipping. But yeah. What's the book called again? So this is actually book 2 in a series that I've been working on. It's called Reaper. It's the Reaper series, I guess. Hopefully there will be more books of this that come out in the future. But we'll see how it goes, you know. And let's see, new to your channel, how long would you say it took you to make this comic / manga? Whew, probably too long. But honestly, there's just been a lot of different projects I've been working on at the same time. So if I focused on solely just one project, it probably wouldn't take as long. But working on this maybe like a year and a half. This is like roughly 200 pages. Maybe like a year and a half. Because like I spent time doing just the drafts, and I edited the drafts and had people beta read that version first, went through, made some initial edits, then I just went to drawing it, made some last minute edits, and a lot of editing. A lot of editing involved. But then we ended up with this baby right here. So yeah, it takes a really long time, especially when you're doing other comics and putting out other content, especially like the YouTube stuff. I think people underestimate how much time the YouTube stuff takes, at least the way that I do my channel. Some channels, it's not as bad for them because they do everything in one take. I'm not one of those channels. I require a lot of editing to make my videos as interesting as possible, especially to get those ADHD brains to pay attention to me. So And some people, they just go about their channel a different way and it works out for them. Just doing it in a more simple one-take way. They can just record themselves talking and immediately upload it. They don't have to edit or change anything about the video. And if you do that, you can do videos much faster. And maybe because you're doing it much faster, you can get success much quicker. I don't do that. Maybe I should, I don't know. I do the streams. The streams are kind of like, sort of that, but yeah, mostly a lot of time gets put into editing the video after I'm done recording it, trying to make it more interesting or more funny or, you know, more punchy, more quick, so that it's not a super long video where I take a bunch of pauses to gather my thoughts all the time. And I think it turns out for the better. I at least enjoy the videos a little more, but people underestimate for sure how long that process of editing the video takes to actually get it to that point. Because that is really time consuming. Let's see. Reaper 3? Yeah, definitely. Reaper the movie next. Oh, I hope. There is, at the end of it, we have extra pages, including the Q&A, of course. Then we have preview pages of Book 3, along with a map and some character profiles. So, be excited. You get, like, not only do you get a whole lot of story, but you also get extra stuff. Extra good and lots of love put into this book. So I hope you enjoy it. And don't be shy. Don't be shy to upload reviews when you get it. Or even just posting. Even just posting a review, you might be like, oh, well, I don't want to post about this on Twitter because nobody will understand what I'm talking about and nobody will like my post. It's okay. I will retweet you. Don't worry. I will appreciate it, even if nobody else does. Well, let's see. Gabe says, if anyone didn't back it before, be ready for when it becomes available for purchase on Burning Star Comics. That's right. BurningstarComics.net. Links in the description. That's where all of the leftover copies from campaigns get posted there where you can buy them. Yeah, Reaper the animated movie, the Anima animated movie. Oh, there we go. Keanu Reeves has the Reaper. It's reaping time. Absolutely. That is happening. How did you find out about my Netflix deal? That's crazy, man. Let's see. I believe that good versus evil is a never-ending battle, and stories are a battleground of this battle. And we need more stories where good is appreciated and evil is called out for what it really is. Damn straight, very based, my man. Very based. Love it. Yeah, I like the classic stories of good versus evil. I feel like the critique of it being too boring, I don't really think that really rings true. At least for me. Volume sounds. Why so low now episode? That's an interesting it's an interesting comment. Is the volume low for anybody? If there is an issue, let me know. I can adjust the volume on, well, I guess you can also adjust the volume, but I can mess with the audio a little bit. Or can I? Maybe I can't. I don't know. Did they made it difficult to find where to find the slider for the audio? Reaper the OVA. Oh, totally. Volume is fine for me. Sounds fine on my end. Yeah, evil bad. How judgmental. Oh yeah, so true, so true. Actually, let me see. now that I think about it, I guess not every manga really does have big giant characters. Because you actually reminded me of Frieren, which very much tries to get that balance of characters and also background. Although in this one it feels like they're more so trying to fit all the characters onto the volume. Let me see, do I have another one? Or another one over here at least? I have this one over here. Let's see how this one looks. Yeah, that's not bad. Let me do a little comparison. I think Freeman is a little bit bigger, but like they're kinda of similar space being taken up on the cover. I love this Freeman cover, by the way. This is one of my favorite Freeman covers. Looks so fucking nice with her floating above the fucking city like that. And the watercolors, oh my god. I gotta figure out how to color like this. Nobody tells me anything. I don't know how to create art. Says the artist who just printed her comic. Ugh. Alright. Great work. Great work. Love Freeman. Absolutely. Sounds a little bit low, but not too bad. Alright. Well, so long as it's not irredeemably low, then I guess we'll be fine. I know that StreamYard automatically adjusts the volume. So if it thinks that like I'm speaking too loudly, it'll make it lower. It's just one of those things, I guess. I love Freeman, but it's so funny for me that all the names are German words because I am German. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Ugh. I can imagine that. I also kind of use an occasional German word in the Reaper series because I wanted to kind of base it off of mostly like German fantasy. But I think I contained myself a little bit more with like how I use the words to make sure that it wouldn't be like as confusing. If anything, it might make more sense for German readers rather than feeling kind of awkward in the same way that Freeman has all the names just be German words. And hey, Young Wavy in the chat. Hope you're having a great Friday. Did you have a chance to read Holy Ark? I did. I want to reread it. Just to, I guess, get a better feel. But yeah, I mentioned to Young Wavy before that I was going to do a review of Holy Ark here on the channel so you guys can see what indie manga has to offer you out there in the world. I wanted to do a review of Hiraeth as well, but maybe I should wait until they're done their current arc, because right now they're in the middle of particular story arc, and maybe it would be a better review if I waited till at least the end of that so I can give more concrete thoughts. Because it's always difficult. It's difficult when you're reviewing a first volume of something and nothing really happens in the first volume. I've had a few experiences like that, where they don't write the first volume as though it's a pilot. Instead, they do it as like a slow burn. And in manga, funny enough, they usually recommend that you write the first chapter itself as a pilot. But there are a lot of chapter ones of manga that are really long, of course. Like some of them are like 80 pages, depending on where you go to. I did write the first book of Reaper as though it is like a pilot. A very long pilot, but you know, it's sort of written with that style of like selling you on the world as well as the initial concept, the initial inciting incident that happens to the main character by the time you get to the end. And then that's like the selling point of the series and of the journey itself. And I think a lot of manga like to approach their chapter 1s in that exact way, but maybe more condensed depending on how well they are at writing a short story. Apparently, I didn't do a very good job of that if I dedicate an entire book to it, but it depends. It depends on like what you're looking for. I like the idea of each volume of Reaper being its own separate story arc, because I feel like people should feel like they have a complete story in their hands when they buy a book. Because there are so many volumes of these ongoing shonen series where you'll buy one of the volumes and you can't read it on its own. You have to read like 4 or 7 volumes at the same time to get the complete story arc. Otherwise, if you read one out of order, none of it makes sense. None of it flows, you know? And I wanted to try to do something different from that, so that people could, I guess, be more encouraged to actually buy each volume as it comes out, and maybe encouraged to also jump in on the series because they don't necessarily need that much background information to understand what's happening. In fact, I don't know if this is like if I can consider this a complete compliment or not, but Adam, when he originally was reading through Reaper Book 2, he was like, man, this is actually a much better introduction into the world and everything than the first book. And maybe that's partially true, because I am slowly getting better at writing and how I approach stories and everything. At the same time, it's like, oh, damn, I really do have to go back and redo the first book and make sure that it's a better introduction. But maybe that also goes back to what I was saying before, where it's like every book can kind of be read as its own thing, as its own story arc because of that. Let's see. Watching old shonen made me realize how fun they can be. Oh, for sure, for sure. Will there be a song animated advert for Reaper 2 with you singing? Well, I'm not really very good at singing. Contrary to me originally posting music on this channel, I'm not a very good singer, I must say. Don't look up videos of me singing. You will be disappointed. I did used to write songs though, and I think a part of me still kind of has that understanding of how to make a song. So it's very possible for me to make more songs, or make more songs for the Reaper series, you know, get out that Reaper music to duel by, music to reap by CD. But I would commission other people to perform the songs for me, like other singers or other musicians or composers. Because I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I'm the idea person when it comes to music, but it's not my area of expertise, per se. It's not where I dumped all my stats in. Mind if I see the new pages in your book? Well, some of these are kind of spoilery. What is a good page to like showcase that people... Oh, I guess this is probably... Well, now I passed it. Because I posted this page, and then the other page I like posted most of the panels from, so there you go. Posted this one on like Instagram, and then I posted these, but the panels were like separate, so there's like some of the art from Reaper Book 2, number 2 in a series. Volume 2 will be very thick, yeah. I mean, it's double the length of the first one for sure. And This one is like fine. Maybe this is what most people expect when they get the volume size, although this is actually less pages than I guess the average volume, because I think on average it's usually somewhere between 100 and 200, maybe like 150 or 180. This one is 108, so this is like pretty slim, maybe compared to other manga volumes out there. Reaper Book 2, different paper, of course, so I think this maybe looks more thick than it actually is, but it's just a little under 200. It's 198. 198, just a little bit. I say 200, but I'm rounding up, right? So it ended up being much longer because I kept on adding pages and adding world building and all the fun stuff, right? But I think it still flows well enough, and I was able to change some scenes without adding any more pages. I cut myself off at some point. I was like, no more pages added, and I was able to just work with what I had already decided to do. But I do hope the book 3 is either the same page length or less, because the longer the page length, the more time it is going to take, which is something that you always have to keep in mind, of course. But yeah. I think all indies should only deliver completed stories unless they are fully committed to a release schedule. That's not the worst take I've heard, for sure. Because I do feel maybe a little bit scorned, or maybe scorned isn't the right word, but I do feel a little bit bad when I support a campaign for a story, for a comic, I guess, specifically. And I think that it's going to be a one-shot, I think it's going to be a complete story, but then it doesn't complete the story at all, it ends on a cliffhanger, and I don't know that it's going to be a series. I don't know if it's ever going to get a book 2, so it's like, well, how am I supposed to give this comic a good review if I don't know what happens? I don't know how it ends. I don't have the full story, so it's like, how can I have a real opinion on it? But yeah. Especially considering how long it takes to deliver and how unreliable indies are at continuing the series. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people get into indie comics or indie manga, and they kinda just, I don't know. Some people genuinely think that it is some get-rich-quick scheme to just, like, get a following, sell your following, whatever your story is, your manga, your comic, and then profit. It's just all profit. And they don't consider like how much it costs to print the book or costs to ship the book, all the preparation and all the labor that all the hours you have to spend finishing the campaign. Like, people don't think about that part. And if they did, maybe they'd realize that, oh, actually, this is not a way to get rich quick at all, because it is very costly in both like actual cost and also time. I would argue it's more costly in time, especially if you have a day job. That's, yeah, you're gonna fulfill campaigns very slowly, and a lot of people would just rather hire a fulfillment company to do it for them, but then they lose even more money, you know, so it's difficult, for sure. Got to pick up a trailer, but I can't wait to see more from your channel. Congratulations on book 2. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Flash us some pages of that thick boy. Yeah, thanks. Man. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on chat, so I'm trying to, like, jump ahead now. My throat is also already... I'm already, like, starting to feel sore from talking. It's only, I'm sure it's only because I did the video this morning, and that was like a whole other like hour of time doing that. Ugh. Ugh. maybe partially stress, but yeah, hell no, this is a poor man's game. You gotta be in it because you love it. Very true, very true. And you know, it's the old saying, comics will break your heart. I don't think that doing comics is always like a negative experience by any means, but I do think if you're in it for the wrong reasons, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. And that's why I think I see so many indie creators pop in and out, you know? Which also just creates a lot of distrust in indie creators. It doesn't serve anybody any good when you have all these people like popping in and out and in and out and in and out. Because people think that they want to do this and they have no experience in doing it, and they think that this is going to, I don't know, be their calling. They're like, oh, this is my shadow self, I gotta make comics, right? And then, you know, they hire really talented people to help make the art or help them with the editing or the lettering, whatever needs to be done. They raise money, but at the end of the day, it's like they don't get the praise that they want, they don't get the profits that they want, and then they dip out because they're like, well, it's not for me. I was mistaken, my bad. It turns out I don't want to be a comic author after all. And I get it, but also, like, you're wasting everybody's time. You're kind of poisoning the well also, because now people are like, oh, well, indie comics suck, because it's all from these inexperienced people who don't even come back for a sequel or whatever, you know? But yeah. A lot of people don't think about that part because they don't do that part. Yeah, right. I think it is better to do fulfillment on your own if you're trying to do a comic campaign, because you will save a lot of money. Obviously, if it's just a hobby for you, you don't need to go through the effort of putting up a website or printing your books or fulfillment or anything like that. If it's just a hobby, then, you know, just put your stuff up on Ingram or Amazon or, you know, one of those print-on-demand sites, and that's perfectly fine for someone who's not, like, in it all the way, you know? But there's no reason for people to invest a lot in something that they can't dedicate a lot of time towards. Yeah, I do. I know your story. You got screwed over supporting a comic multiple times and being guaranteed cameos in later issues only for them to never actually make those issues. Very, very unfortunate. Like I said, there's just a lot of non-committal people. They pop in and out. They, like, change focus on what they want to be their next thing. And I get it. I do. It's a little demoralizing to put a lot of effort into a comic or a story, not have it do very well, and then you, like, promise to do a second one. But in your head, you're like, well, that one didn't do well, so I should work on something different. Maybe the next thing will do well. And I get it. So a lot of being an artist or being a creative involves occasionally just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And companies will do the same thing, where they're just constantly chucking things. Even if many of those things are going to be failures, they're just testing the waters, just in case. In a way, it's kind of like gambling, but with a lot of labor. A lot of labor involved in this particular type of gambling. But you're just, like, kind of increasing your chances of a story exploding with popularity by making so many more stories. All that being said, when you make a commitment, you should probably stick to it. Controversial statement. Some of you may find this offensive. But when you make a commitment, you should probably stick to it. You should probably do that. But yeah, you know how it is. Let's see. Even profit is not guaranteed. Very true. Very true. You gotta, like, go in with the right expectations, I guess. And I think in general, when I first started doing comics, or doing comic campaigns, I guess I should specify, because before I did the comic campaigns, I did other web comics and shitty stuff like that. But when I first started, I think my expectations were maybe, I don't know, maybe lower than they are now. I think I've been, like, slowly raising my expectations because I want to keep raising my quality. I don't want to dip, you know? And maybe part of that has also made me a little pessimistic every time when I come out with a new book, because I'm like, not good enough. But, you know. I think maybe a lot of people go through that. It's just the years and years of doing something. You want to have the growth represent all the time that you put into it. For sure. Dan, are you a Transformers fan? Not really. I mean, I don't hate it. It's fine. But I never was into it. It feels like a stretch to say I'm a fan. I kind of just, like, casually look at it from a distance. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but I'm not in the fandom, you know? That's an interesting quote. Nothing sells your first book better than your 10th book. There was one guy that Adam knew, who, not a comic series, but he was doing a novel series. And his first books were terrible, but his response to them being terrible was always like, well, it gets good around the 5th book, and because my writing improves. And it's like, man, I don't know if anyone's gonna stick around for that long. And I think that's another maybe demoralizing thing about indie creators. When they're doing a series, and I don't recommend most people do a series as their first thing. Like, wait. Do one-shots. Build up the confidence to do a series. Don't bite off more you can chew. But when you're doing a series, you gotta have this kind of understanding that you're gonna be improving artwork, writing, or both. You're just going to be improving your experience making comics in general. And so you'll have that feeling of, oh no, is my first book actually going to convince people to be fans of this thing? Is this good enough? Or do they have to wait till book 5 for it to get good? And are they going to stick around that long? And I think a lot of people, you gotta keep that in mind when you're doing a series. Because that's just another factor that's going to affect whether or not you are even mildly successful in making it work. But all the more reasons why I recommend one-shots first and foremost. Get good at telling short stories, short comics. Floppies, hey, I've done a bunch of floppy books. People have really enjoyed them. They've enjoyed them enough to ask for sequels, even though I say, it's just a one-shot, sorry. But I'm glad that they ask for more of that content, because it tells me that I did a good enough job selling them on it, just by that first comic. And if I ever did want to do, like, some sort of sequel, I could go back to it. Probably not, though, because, you know, nothing has ever gotten me such such overwhelming success that I would be tempted to go back and do a sequel for any of my one-shots. And I guess there is the question of what do you even consider to be an overwhelming success for an indie creator, which is a pretty good question. I think for like, depending on what you're doing and how long it takes you to do it, you want to at least be able to pull in like the average per year, which is very, very difficult. Not that people haven't figured out ways to do it or stretch their audience more. Oh, that's another concept when it comes to campaigns, is the idea of like stretching your audience, right? So you take an audience of like maybe 1,000 people, and they're dedicated, they'll buy any book you put out, but then you also put out a bunch of supplemental material like merchandise, keychains, original art, posters, prints, other things that they will also buy so that you can make more profit than just simply the book sale. Just the book sale is most certainly not enough. Not unless you're really, really pulling in those numbers. And most people on Kickstarter who are doing comics or manga, not even getting 1,000. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. Even when you have a fan base and everything, it's still hard. It still requires a lot of effort to campaign and to convince people, no, please give this thing a chance. Some part of that is like, you know, obviously economy stuff. If people are trying to penny pinch, then they're not going to give something on Kickstarter their money. But another part of it is just a lot of people are jaded about giving new content a chance, especially when they have to put money towards it. You have to invest towards it to give it that chance. And a lot of indie stuff especially tends to be lower quality, or tends to be made by people who are not committed to it. And that, as I said before, it, you know, quote unquote poisons the well. It makes people a lot more distrusting of indie stuff. Now, I kind of expect indie stuff to maybe have a lower bar just because it's indie. A lot of people who are pulling off these campaigns, they're doing like everything themselves, or maybe like a team of 2 people, but it's usually a hyper small team, just like dedicating years and years towards making a lot of these projects. And it's really impressive when you consider like how small they are and how high the quality is that they put out. But, you know, generally I think there's a lower bar set for indie creators, and sometimes people still manage to disappoint even with that low bar. But I still give indie work a chance, because I do see a lot of talented people who, you know, have been burned by the main industry. And that's something people also don't really consider. You know, people who are anti-indie work will think that they must be now pro-industry work. Like, that is, if indie work is not successful, then the answer must be to work for this big company. Not really. You know, it's not really a black and white situation. But many people always think that the grass is greener on the other side. So if one thing isn't working, you have to just do the exact opposite. In actuality, there's a lot of people, professionals, that are trying to get out of industry, well, not get out of industry work, but convert from doing industry work to doing their own independent work. Because they see, for multiple reasons, but part of it because they see more potential to grow themselves and their fan base and create something on their own by their own rules. Well, as you know, a lot of people who are starting off indie, it's difficult because they're not really working with that same foundation. And maybe they think, oh, well, if I just went over to the industry and I worked for the industry, maybe then I would be successful. I would at least build up that foundation. So once again, it's like both sides just want to go on to the other side. It feels like sometimes. People working for comic companies, they want to be indie and they want to do their own work. They want that creative freedom, and they want to be able to actually keep the profits that are made from sales. And then people who are doing indie, they want to get into the industry. They want like that consistent work. They want to build a foundation. They want the mentorships, and they want to get better at their work and learn from the industry, all their secrets, etc. But it's funny being an observer of that, because I know people in both indie and also people who are working for DC, Marvel, Image, you know, the more higher, more glorious titles that are supposed to, at least in America, are supposed to be the big hitters as far as comic publishers. Thanks for the donation. I'm sorry it took me a little while to read it. I was ranting over here. Hi Dannphan, the Lord asked me to leave you a gift. I reacted to your demon posting video today and I wanted to say thank you. It helped me flesh out my thoughts on demons and magic. Thank you for continuing to be here. Well, thank you, man. I'm glad that you appreciated the video, for sure. I'm surprised and also pleased that the video is still making rounds on YouTube. New people are still watching it, like, every day. Almost every day. Like, I get, like, another, like, 900 views on it or something like that. It's nice. That's nice to see. I don't really control, like, the YouTube algorithm rules or anything, so I don't know when it gets recommended or why it starts circulating again, if people are adding to the conversation again, because at this point it feels like an old video. I made it months ago, right? But I'm glad people enjoyed it. I'm glad that I was able to get my point across, even though I did cut a bunch of stuff out from the, like, I don't know, the Snyder cut of that video. But I'm glad I made it. No regrets. I said what I needed to say. Let's see. Read some more comments, but we are going to end the stream soon, sadly. It's probably better for me to rest my voice anyway. But I'll read a couple more comments before I head out, because I want to make sure everyone gets to say something. In a perfect world, we'd have a robust industry with lots of infrastructure to help creatives grow their craft and their following. And going indie wouldn't make sense for most people. The fact that people are gravitating towards indies is just a sign how much the industry is in decline. Yeah, part of that. I think the main thing is a lot of people, they're not... The current industry, what they're producing, isn't meeting the demand that people actually have. And I think that's part of the reason why they're turning towards indie, and also manga, of course. Because that's actually meeting the demand that they have for new and exciting stories and independent work and creative work, something different. And I don't know. A lot of stuff that's coming out of the industry, not everything, but a lot of it does feel like it's being watered down. It does feel much more generic than it really should be. And I think that, more than anything else, causes people to gravitate towards independent work because they figure, oh, well, their story is not going to be watered down by an editor. Their story doesn't have, like, a production committee behind it. So maybe it'll be more authentic, maybe it'll be more creative, maybe, you know, maybe it'll be more fun, have an art style that's more different. And I think that for a lot of people will lead them towards indie. But I'm sure the reasons are different from person to person. Yeah. When will we get the next Shonen Jump crossover game? Oh man, who knows? Jump Force was kind of a disaster, wasn't it? I mean, I guess I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was not my favorite. I mean, like, you can't buy it anymore, right? They're permanently offline now, I think. But we're one of the households that still have Jump Force on Steam, so that makes us feel special. Alrighty. When Bandai Namco starts to listen to fan feedback. Oh, hopefully, right? Alright guys, we are past the hour, so I am going to wind down from stream. But for those of you who came in who are new to the Fridays with Dannphan, we try to do these streams every week. Every Friday, right? It's Friday with Dannphan. I do it like at kind of a maybe weird time, 4:30 Eastern Standard. So wherever you are in the world, do the math. And if you ever want to come hop on again, it's kind of like an anything discussion type chat where we just talk about whatever's new, what seems relevant to talk about during stream. Obviously, I talk a lot about comics and indie comic stuff, but that's not everything I talk about. We can talk about whatever. I'm cool with talking about whatever. But yeah, so feel free to hop on whenever you feel like just having some chill person talking in the background. If you want to contribute to conversations we have on here, you're more than welcome. But I am going to be heading off now. I gotta prepare, of course, for fulfilling my comic campaign, get these books signed and shipped out to the people who backed the campaign. And when you get the books, and I hope you get the books very soon, I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you post reviews of them. And yeah. To everybody else who missed the campaign, there will be more books available on the website once the campaign is finished. I like to fulfill orders for the campaign backers first and foremost, because they are the most important. It's objectively true. Alright guys, I'm gonna see you next time. New video next week. And a new stream, hopefully. So, see you then. Goodbye, everybody.